Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mainstream Indie Music Channel. We talk about all things indie music. I want to give a special shout out to the 452 subscribers. Absolutely insane. We are closing in on 500. It blows my mind. I'm so unworthy and I'm so appreciative of you guys checking in every single week. In fact, I was just looking at things and more of you are starting to become reoccurring viewers. That just means so much to me. I can't even put it into words. Now, let's get into the video though. Let's not waste too much time on this. If you are not subscribed, welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode because we are talking about a popular British band that really came from the movement that came out of the late 80s of pop punk and disco when they merged together and kind of formed that style of music, I guess you could say, where they started to merge that disco beats along with rock and roll, along with technology that was starting to morph and change and starting to make its way into mainstream music even. And what came out of that is in the 90s, if you weren't listening to punk, if you weren't listening to grunge, there was a underground movement of this kind of dance music, because I couldn't really say that it would be electronica or dubstep yet. It's almost like the grandfather of that movement per se. And one of the bands is a band called Massive Attack. Now, Massive Attack is an older band. They came from the mid-1980s is when they started to get formed. And then they started to really break out in the late 80s and early 90s, where there was a big group of members together called the Wild Bunch. It was kind of like a sound system and it was a collection of musicians and DJs out in Bristol, England. And out of all of that group together, four people, Robert, Adrian, Grant, and Andrew, along with some others, but those were the main four, started to notice, hey, we got something special here when the four of us get together. I think we sound really good. Now, what's the other thing of note with Massive Attack is, yes, they do sing some songs themselves and they do some, music in-house, but a lot of times they like to bring in other musicians to kind of sing along the soundscapes, the songs that they were putting together. They wanted them to sing in the song rather than maybe them singing it, which is going to be a factor when we start talking about Teardrop. But they started to get a lot of hits to begin with. There was the support of other famous bands such as Portishead during that period. They started to fuse hip-hop, soul music, reggae, started to mess around more and more with electric music as well. And then in the 1990s, some of their groups started to split apart. And it wasn't out of bad blood. Especially with that era of music, they could make their own music themselves. It wasn't like they were in desperate need of each other to kind of keep their music careers going. You can kind of imagine a lot of times in rock bands, it's hard for separate members to kind of branch out individually if they don't play all of the other instruments, if they're not interested in other instruments, but they could do so. But there was no bad blood amongst their bands. So on top of that, they started to get other rotating members in their bands as well. They kind of just kept going, even though it was mainly 2 or 3 of them that stayed with the band throughout all of it. They just kind of kept this ship going forward. Fast forward now to 1997. And they decided to bring in a new main producer because they thought they had something pretty special coming in. And what it was a album called Mezzanine, which is one of their biggest albums. I think even to date is still one of their biggest albums. and it won awards. It even got nominated for a Mercury Prize. And Teardrop was the lead single out of that album. Now, like I said previously, Massive Attack does not sing on this song, of course, because it is a female singer. It is a Scottish singer called Elizabeth Fraser, who has a very interesting story, which I'm going to get into in a second. But the making of the song is very interesting as well. If you've heard this song, I'm sure you have if you're into indie music. It has a harpsichord-driven track playing in the background, which you probably know what I'm talking about if you've heard this song before, that just loops throughout the entire song. It's almost hypnotic, the way that it is, the effects that they put on the harpsichord on top of it. You got slow hip-hop beats kind of playing in the background. And the development of it was very, very interesting. So Andrew, who is the main songwriter of this song, kind of sent a demo of the song. It wasn't finished yet, but he sent a demo of the song to Madonna because he wanted her to record the vocals. In fact, they had already worked together one time before. But two other band members, Robert and Grantley, wanted Elizabeth Fraser, who I had mentioned, to record because her voice sounded more mournful, kind of more melancholy. And the interesting thing is Madonna was actually very interested in recording the vocals to the song. And the other two band members, ended up winning, of course, because we ended up with Elizabeth Fraser's version. And what's kind of cool is, to this day, both Madonna and members of Massive Attack say, in an alternate universe, Madonna would have been the one singing on this song rather than Elizabeth Fraser. And who knows how that would have shaped the 90s if that would have been the case. Now, Elizabeth Fraser co-wrote the song's lyrics. And what's interesting is she had been in a relationship with Jeff Buckley. And if you all know music, you know who Jeff Buckley is, rendering the version of Hallelujah. And tragically had passed away due to drowning very early into his career. And so this song was actually a tribute lyrically out to him and his life. The song did extremely, extremely well. It connected a lot with that underground kind of electronic music that was building momentum. And the whole album was very, very interesting because it did have more of a rock flavor into the album as well. Now, Fraser did other songs with them on that entire album. And it was definitely noticed. It reached 16 in Australia. It reached the top 10 in the United States and has only been the only Massive Attack song really to make the top 10. Now, there is legacy of this song. Many people know this song due to the television show House, because that ended up being the theme song to that television show. And a lot of people wondered, what is this crazy song with this crazy harpsichord playing in the background? That kind of gave that song a second life. There has been tons of covers of this song. And if you've been on this channel, a few of them have been on this channel, or I'm honestly going to be covering these bands in the future. Jose Gonzalez is one of them. Civil Twilight is another one. The Collective is another one as well, which was a super group. Other bands such as Simple Minds, The Naked and Famous, who I've covered on this channel as before, and even Hayley Williams of Paramore uploaded a cover on her YouTube and Spotify as well in 2021. So it's a very popular song even to this day. Has deep roots in the indie, I wouldn't know if I'd call it indie rock, but indie music in general. Lots of people know the song, and that's kind of the short and sweet history of it. I want to hear what y'all think. What do you think of the song? Which covers of this song stick out to y'all? And I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.